Thank you for watching the Christ Life Inc. YouTube channel. Today we're going to take a brief look at the question of which yoke you are going to choose. Two yokes. Which do you choose? Jesus or Moses? Matthew 11:28 through 30 shows us the first yoke, and this is Jesus speaking with an invitation to us all. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. So one yoke that we can choose is the yoke of Jesus. The other yoke that we can choose, in Acts 15 verse 10, the apostles mention it, and it says, Now therefore, why tempt ye God to put a yoke upon the neck of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? So the apostles tell us that this yoke is an unbearable yoke that neither their forefathers nor they themselves were able to bear. So we got two choices. We've got Jesus' yoke, which is easy and light, or we've got this yoke that the apostles address, which is unbearable. The next question we need to ask is, what is this unbearable yoke that the apostles speak of in Acts 15? The answer seems clear. We look at Acts 15 verse 5, just 5 verses before the last one we discussed, and it says, But there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees which had believed, saying that it was needful to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Moses. Okay, so the answer to the unbearable yoke question, what is the unbearable yoke? According to this verse here, it seems clear that it's either circumcision or keeping the law of Moses. It seems highly unlikely that circumcision would be the unbearable yoke the apostles are referring to. The apostles would have been, as good Jewish boys, would have been circumcised when they were 8 days old. The Apostle Paul even references that he was circumcised when he was 8 days old. So the apostles would have been circumcised on the 8th day. So it seems very unrealistic to think that the unbearable yoke was circumcision. There's no way in the world an 8-day-old infant would remember his circumcision surgery. And there is even less way that they would consider it to be a lifelong unbearable yoke. Clearly, the unbearable yoke that the apostles couldn't keep and the forefathers couldn't keep was keeping the law of Moses. That is the unbearable yoke that they were referring to. We see further in Acts 15:24, part of the conclusion of the Jerusalem Council is that they said, Forasmuch as we have heard that certain went out from us, have troubled you with words, subverting your souls, saying, You must be circumcised and keep the law, to whom we gave no such commandment. The apostles never commanded anyone to keep the law of Moses. And as we have already seen, circumcision is surely not the unbearable yoke, as no one would have remembered their 8-day-old circumcision. And it would not have been a yoke, unbearable yoke, for the rest of their lives. So the choice is simple. We can choose to rest in Jesus, in his completed work on the cross, or we can choose to follow the Pharisees. Now, remember, these were believing Pharisees. So these weren't even unbelievers. These were believing Pharisees that were telling the people that it was not necessary for them to be circumcised and to keep the law of Moses. The apostles said this was an unbearable yoke in Acts 15:10, and in Acts 15:24 the apostles state clearly that we gave no such commandment. So what's your choice going to be? Jesus or Moses? The yoke of rest, the easy yoke, or the yoke of legalistic bondage? The choice is yours. I repeat the invitation of Jesus, who says, "Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." I strongly recommend you come to Jesus. He is the true source of rest.